If I had to describe the most horrible and selfish tactics that women generally used as a pattern over and over again in my past, without any consideration for me whatsoever, it would be these tactics. Now, I want to emphasize these are tactics and not simply character traits like cruelty, lack of empathy, anger. No, these are tactics one could consider as being planned, a strategy to get what you want. They're not things that you could describe as someone doing because they couldn't help it. They could modify their behavior. They wouldn't appreciate this done to them. No, these are tactics. These are strategies to get what you want by using and manipulating and treating someone badly. It's not about personality traits that they could go to therapy for. And often these kind of people enjoy making other people feel bad so that they can feel better about themselves. These are often the type of women that enjoy watching reality TV. This is what gives them a laugh. This is what they gossip about. This is what makes them feel great. These female adults that I went out with in the past were the equivalent of the child that gets joy out of pulling the wings off butterflies. The number one tactic terrible women used in my past was passive-aggressive gaslighting. In case you don't know, gaslighting is a method someone uses to make you doubt yourself, make you question your judgment, slowly demoralize you. My exes used to lie about what they said, and when I said, "No, you said this," they'd be like, "No, I didn't. Where'd you get that from?" Or they'd say it in an angry tone, where you should be ashamed of even accusing her of saying or doing what you think she did or said. Promising something and then changing their mind and saying they didn't promise. And if you get them to admit what they said or you provide proof, they'll say, "Well, I might have said that, but I changed my mind. I don't feel like doing that anymore." Or "I didn't mean it that way. You know what I meant." Or promising and then accusing me of imagining things on purpose to make them look bad. Or the most frustrating ones, not saying anything at all and then blaming me for not reading her signs, because any normal boyfriend that loved their partner would see these obvious signs, and I would think, "Well, why don't you just tell me?" instead of getting angry that I didn't read your mind. All of this game playing that made me doubt what I saw, heard, or what she did, and making it feel like it's my fault, making me doubt myself, slowly demoralizing me, pushing me down further and further and further by laughing at me, rolling her eyes. And being a guy that's fairly logical, I like organizing and getting things right in my own life. I try and be objective and, okay, maybe I did, maybe I forgot, maybe I said this, and she's right. But then over time, when you actually really pay attention, and sometimes even write these things down to remind yourself, and then she says you didn't do it, and you say, "Look, I wrote it down." And she'll accuse you of, "Oh my God, I can't believe you stooped to that level. You take notes?" And it's like, I have to. I wasn't taking notes to prove you wrong. I was taking notes because I thought I was the one in the wrong. The point is that this game playing of gaslighting, and often intentional gaslighting, makes you feel like you're wrong all the time. And she used to do it so confidently and calmly because she was so sure of herself. And the more you doubt yourself, the smaller you get, the more unsure of yourself you are, the less she likes you because she doesn't like unconfident, unsure men. And then she basically creates the kind of guy she doesn't like in you. The second tactic is shaming. Now, this is following on from gaslighting, I guess. Insisting that they're right and you're wrong constantly. Putting you down, making you feel inferior, making you feel stupid. It's a repetition of rolling their eyes and,
"No, you idiot, again. No, you idiot, again you're wrong because of..."
blah, blah, blah. And you have this feeling of she's constantly annoyed, complaining, disappointed, and this feeling like you're being tolerated. And you pedal harder to make her happy. You pedal harder to almost apologize for making so many mistakes. Most women, and it's no different from the women in my past, they really hate men that are beneath them. They like a man being above them. They like a man leading. They like to feel safe by that man. But they constantly demoralize a man by wanting to be right all the time, by complaining, by denying they said what they said, by making you smaller and smaller and more inferior and always wrong, and them always leading, and thereby making you into the kind of guy that they don't want to be with. And whether it's a shit test or not, I frankly don't care. If you are doing everything in your power to ruin a perfectly good relationship and then say, well, it's biology, I just do it and it's not my fault. Sorry, it is your fault. But I think the overall feeling most guys get left with when they always make to feel like they did the wrong thing, they're not being a good enough boyfriend, husband, or whatever, and seeing the disappointment in his woman's eyes, is that he just feels shame. And he doesn't know why, but she seems confident in knowing why and feeling why. She's the confident one in being disappointed. I feel like guys genuinely love and want to love the woman that they trust is disappointed in them. And I would suggest we really look at what they say we did wrong and make sure we actually did something wrong, that we were forgetful or we made a mistake. But if we didn't, if it's vague, if it's just an ambient feeling of disappointment from the woman, then no, you did nothing wrong, so you should not feel any guilt. What they are trying to do is shame you, and shame and guilt are two very different things. Guilt is I did something wrong. Shame is I am something wrong. And the more women shame you for absolutely nothing with their gaslighting and their tactics, the more they demoralize you into a person that's feeling shame for just being something wrong. Because there is no reason to feel guilt. The silent treatment. Ignoring you until you give up. Ignoring you until you concede, until you agree that she's right and you're wrong. Even if they objectively did something wrong and you're in the right, they don't want to talk and work it out. They don't want to communicate. They don't want to be fair. Princess doesn't want to feel bad. Here's the cruelty of what they're doing when they ghost you or they give you the silent treatment. She will pout and hold her breath and effectively deny the affection and closeness of that relationship until you agree with her, until she's done nothing wrong, until you're the one that's wrong. So she will hold the relationship hostage, the affection hostage, until you concede to her point of view, until you agree that she's right, until you give in. Your point of view is irrelevant. The silent treatment and ghosting you is pushing you away from the relationship. It's distancing you. It's actually taking the oxygen out of the room. It is suffocating the relationship. And she's willing to do it, to strangle it, and she has her hands around the neck of the relationship, suffocating it by a silent treatment, and her ghosting, and her ignoring, and her denying of the affection and closeness. She will willingly suffocate the relationship with this tactic until you can't breathe anymore. And you say, as I mentioned in a previous video, yes, dear. You're right, dear. Happy wife, happy life. With these kind of very cruel, intentional personalities that cross their arms like a little girl and are willing to suffocate the relationship to death, you have only two options: capitulate or leave. And the final tactic I can come up with is the constant drama, anger, and complaining, where you're constantly putting out fires and saying, okay, calm down. You are constantly saying, yes, dear, to keep the peace. You're making Princess happy, and that's your job. Basically, this kind of woman, when I look at my past, is the kind of woman that all they talk about is reality TV and how energized they feel about talking about the latest episode of couples and women tearing each other apart. And a relationship without that kind of drama and chaos is just boring to her. It's not a relationship. So let me know in the comment section, guys, what are the horrible tactics that you recognize that women used on you to get what they wanted in a really selfish way without any consideration for you? Remember to join the channel, comment, subscribe, and share this video with someone you might think it might help, and I'll check you out in the next video. Bye.